Hey everybody, Psychosaurus is here. Welcome back to Age of Empires Online. And today we are gonna talk about one or rather two very interesting things here in Age of Empires Online. And that would be markets and caravans. And oh boy, you're looking forward to a lot of math probably. Nah, not that much, but yeah, there's gonna be some math in this. So yeah, markets, caravans, very important thing in Age of Empires Online. If you wanna try to beat some more challenging quests, you definitely are gonna need to utilize both of these. So yeah, very important thing, as I would say a lot of your economy is gonna depend on caravans and markets. So yeah, this is gonna be talking about them. Basically, thing about buying, selling, upgrades around these, tributing, and basically caravans, their stats. Yeah, that's pretty much gonna be the whole video about these. So yes, let's get into this. So first of all, let's start with the market, because this is where it all begins. The market is this very nice building. It costs 250 wood base cost. So it's a little bit more expensive than your typical military building, but it is very important and it is very good, because you can quite nicely utilize this. So what markets serve you for? Number one, producing caravans. Caravans, I'll be talking about them later, but yeah, you will need them for your gold income. Second reason is buying, selling resources. Basically, hey, you have some number of gold, then you can buy 100 resources for some price, or you have a lot of this resource, then you can sell it for this amount of gold. So 100 units for this amount, that's how it works basically. But yeah, and then we have some nice upgrades. So let's start with this one, which is gonna be very simple, and that's gonna be the trade routes upgrade. It says reduces tribute penalty. Now I need to tell you what tribute actually means. So if you take a look at this very nice button over here, tribute resources to your allies, it says. If you click on it, it will open this nice player tribute window, which is very useful, especially if you have an ally. Well, otherwise it's pointless. You won't really see this unless you have some ally. Now, you don't really need market to actually click on this button. You can actually click on these buttons that show you the number of resources you currently have. So if I click here, hey, it opens the same window. Doesn't matter which resource, we just open it. So yeah, this is where you tribute your resources to other players. Now, if I had some other player here, and you can check this for yourself, for example, in Zabol in Just Deserts quest, where you have to send the green player your resources for the optional quest for the time challenge. So you can do that. Now obviously I would have like buttons here where I would click on them, it would add 100 units. If I would hold shift key, it would be actually 500 on one click. Now what's really important, and now we're getting to the tag, is this number, tribute penalty 100%. Now you might be wondering, what does it mean? If you would have added the resources here, you would actually see that there would be like total penalty, or I don't know exactly how it's showing right now out of my head, but yeah. So you would have like, hey, I want to send 500 food, so it would be like here. And with the tribute penalty, I believe that the total penalty would be actually the tribute penalty. So here, because it's 100%, it would be 500 as well. And so the total tribute would be 1000. So to explain it, if you want to send 500 food to another player, you actually have to pay 1000 food. That's what the tribute penalty does. It increases the number of resources you need to pay to send the allies certain amount of resources. So yes, now let's get to the tag. Now this one says reduces tribute penalty by 50% for 150 gold. That's actually very good, because this is available to you in Bronze Age, and I'm gonna start researching it. because it's very useful tech. So yes, it says minus 50%. If I open it, this will actually reduce the tribute penalty down to 50%. So if I had to now send the 500 resources, it would not cost me now 1000 but 750, because I have to pay the 500 plus the tribute penalty, which would be 250 in that case. So now it would be 750. And then there's one more tech, shipping lanes, reduces tribute penalty, again minus 50%. This one is a little bit more expensive. And you might be wondering, but that means, hey, no more penalty. No. Remember people, that in Age of Empires Online, stats, I would say 90% or 90 to 95% of the times are multiplying. So as you can see, it did not go down to 0%, it went down to 25%. So that means instead of 750, now I would be paying 625. So that's how it works. So the second upgrade is available in Golden Age, which is quite late. And most important, it is more expensive, but also the value is not that high. But obviously it's still good if you're sending a lot of your resources to your ally. So it is still very useful tech. Definitely if you're playing one of those quests where you need to deliver resources to some other player, then getting at least the first upgrade is very worth it. For 150 gold you can save, I mean, it can be even thousands of resources. So it is definitely worth getting the Bronze Age one. The Golden Age, well, you need to reach Golden Age, which is expensive as it is. So that one, you don't really need to go for that one. The first one is definitely worth it. The second one depends. So yeah, that's all about the tribute penalty. Now, why does this exist? I would say it's mainly so you don't just boost one player in co-op. So hey, you gather resources, now you send everything to the other player. So hey, if I gathered 500 food and suddenly sent just 500 food, yeah, and you just boost him, hey, and suddenly he can complete the 5-star legendary quest on his own, yeah, that would be just too strong. So from my perspective, that's the one reason why this exists, and I think it makes sense for that matter. Okay, so that's enough about tribute penalty. Remember to, when you need to send resources, it's worth getting at least the first tech. Now let's move on to the second, and I would say not caravans, that's too soon. I would say let's talk about buying, selling resources. Now this is, I would say, it's not that complicated because, or rather, it's not that complicated at first glance, but once you start looking into it a little bit more, it might confuse you a little bit. Okay, so first of all, I need to write down something here a little bit first. So let me do that. I'll write a few things here. So let me, okay, so first, okay, and then okay, so as you know, we can buy and sell. Now first of all, these values, what do they mean? So remember, we are always trading 100 units of that given resource. So if I want to sell food, I'll always sell 100 food. Now this number that you can see or barely see, because man, that's just so poorly designed. Maybe this is worth a suggestion. But yeah, if you can see it, it's 75 saying right here. So if I had to sell 100 food, I will get 75 gold. Now you get, okay, this is perfect. We're not getting anything. Bam. You can check it for yourself. Rewind the video if you have to. I just earned 75 video and lost 100 food. Now obviously, as I sold the resources, the price went down. Not only for selling, but also for the buying. And buying works the same way, except you get 100 food and lose the amount of gold that's being told here. Before it would be 125, now it's 122 saying here. Okay, I'm gonna do it 5 times in total, and you can see the price went down. Now I need to talk about this, so let me switch over here. Okay, let me check, is it there? Yes. So yeah, I wrote these numbers here. Now you might be wondering, what do they actually mean? So first of all, I need to explain how the numbers work. So I wrote 100 here. Now the 100 here, and believe me, I was studying a few videos from Age of Empires 2 and how it works there, and then I just observed it in Age of Empires Online, and it's very similar there. So the 100 here means actually base gold price or value, how should I say it? And from this value, this is actually the value where the prices begin. So yeah, if you will take a look at the value, it was 75 gold when selling, 125 gold when buying. If you put it together and divide it by 2, aka get the average value of those two, you will get 100 gold here. This is the base value, and the selling value and buying value is actually defined by this percentage, the 25%. So you take this base value, now you either add or subtract 25% of that value, and you get the buy-sell price. That's how the price is decided at the beginning. Now, whenever you buy or sell, the price always changes. And this is where the number 2 here comes into the play. Every time you buy or sell, this value is gonna get changed by this number. So if I had to sell 100 food, for example, it would go down to 98. If I sell one more time, it goes down to 96. And so on and so on. Since I sold 5 times in total, now my price should be at 90. Okay, so that should mean our price should be, and let me think about it. Let me check that. Is it saying 67, which, if it makes sense, I went down by 10, but it's 25% lower, so it should be like 7.5. Yes, it makes sense. So it's rather 67.5 and 112.5 to be accurate. If you add these numbers and again divide them by 2, get the average of these two, you'll get the 90 gold, like I said. So that's basically how it works. Buying, selling. Pretty simple. I think it's pretty simple. It makes quite a lot of sense. So it's not like, hey, I can just sell 100 food for 100 gold and so on. So it is a very nice feature. Now, why am I talking about this? Because there is this one nice tech called coinage. 100 food, 100 wood, 50 gold. Reduces market exchange rates minus 40% buy-sell penalty. Now, yeah, you might be asking, what does this actually mean? Now, if I'm gonna start researching it, and let me go back to over here. Yes, it's there. Okay, so the buy-sell penalty, that's actually what this 25% is. So if we do minus 40% here, it actually makes sense when you think about it that this number goes down to 15%. Because 40% of 25% is 10, so 25 minus 10, that's 15%. This makes perfect sense. Now let's get back into it. Now we got the tech done, and as you can see, the percentage has been changed. You can see that values over here, or barely you can see it, it has changed, but I think it's more obvious here. It's 85 and 115. So you can see it's 15% now. Now, it does not say this tech, but these techs actually do a little bit more. And to prove it to you, I'm just gonna sell 500 wood. Now, if you could see this, I think you can barely see this. If not, you can see here 103, and over here it actually says 106. And you might be asking, how is this possible that when I sold 500 food before, and now I sold 500 wood, how is it possible that I have different values? And this is actually where we get into it. It's not only that it reduces this percentage by 40%. No, it also removes 0.5 price change, or like the price delta, or whatever you want to call it. So it changes this number 2 to 1.5. This is actually very important. Why? Because that means the price that does not change that fast. So instead of suddenly having 98 here, is it correct? Oh, it is correct, yes. Now it would be 98.5, the price. Then it would be 97. So you can see it's going down slower. And also we have lower percentage. So if I, for example, had to sell the same amount of food or wood, this price would be going down slower, and also the price is better for me. So suddenly it can be a lot more gold. I am not really gonna calculate it here. If you wanna do the calculation, well, it's a good math, okay? You can figure out how much gold you're suddenly earning for yourself. This is actually really good to know. And you can like compare it, like, hey, before I was earning this amount of gold, now I'm earning much more. How much extra? I think it's gonna be important how much more gold you're actually earning. But yeah, you can already tell this upgrade already improved the income of gold quite nicely. It's somewhat expensive, like 100, 150. So 250 resources in total, but if you get it soon enough before like selling the resources, hey, you can earn extra gold thanks to that. So that's really good for you. And once you reach like the bottom limit, and yes, I forgot to mention, there is a limit how low the prices can go. This actually can help you a lot, especially in the late game, so you actually earn some extra nice value. Now we need to get back here because we have one more over here, and this one is price adjusting. As you can see, it costs twice the amount of resources. This is the first one was available in Bronze Age. This one is available in Silver Age, so different than the tribute, but yeah. And you might be thinking, like, this is giving me minus 40%, so pretty much the same value. And yes, I'm gonna tell you right away, it's giving us the same values. And remember, I said about the tributes that most of the stats in Age of Empires Online are stuck in multiplicatively. Now, in this case, if you don't know, you might be expecting the same thing. But if we take a look at the prices now and look at this, you can see it would be 195 here and 104. Now, I don't know why it's 4 here. It should be 105, but okay. So you can already tell this one actually went even lower than you would expect from the 15%. It went down by another 10%, and now it's only 5%. So that's another thing worth mentioning. These upgrades are not actually stacking multiplicatively, but additively. So that means instead of having like minus 40, minus 64% after the second upgrade, you actually get minus 40 and minus 80%. So this is one thing worth mentioning. And now I'm gonna sell 500 stone. And you can see the same thing as before happen again, or rather it's 94, 97, and here we have 99. So the same thing happened again. And let me go back here. So basically, again, we subtracted the 40%. So now we have the 5%. So that's after the last upgrade. And practically the same thing happened here as well. So again, we got minus 0.5 gold. So now we are at 1. So yeah, basically the price at which it, or rather how fast the price changes, has been now cut in half. So now it would, if I had to sell 200 food with all the upgrades, then the price would go to 98, which would be the same as selling 100 food with no upgrades. So that difference is quite huge. And remember, selling is only 5% of the base price. So now you're earning also a lot more gold. So this can already tell you, how should I say it, if I had to compare it, the base and all upgrades, that now I've earned like, or how should I say it? I don't think it's correct, but yeah, basically if you do the calculation here as well, you should be earning a lot more gold. I should probably do that, but maybe I'll do the separate video about these calculations. Maybe I'll do that, because this is very interesting. I have the screen right, yes. But yeah, here you can see these upgrades are very good for you when you are buying or selling. Remember, buying is also very cheaper. It's also cheaper, so when you need the resources, it's good for you. When you sell resources, it's definitely good for you. And now I should talk about why also people like to abuse the caravan meta, because caravans are very good for your gold income, and because buying resources can get you only somewhere to a certain limit. And if I remember correctly, it's like, okay, as you can see, the price went back up. But yeah, if I, okay, that should be it. If I'm not mistaken, the price should, the base value, the base price should go up to 160. If I'm not mistaken. So this is 152. Yeah, I definitely need to suggest something about that. So 152, 168. If we put the average, yes, it's 160. And same thing should be when we go down. So basically up we went 60 gold, down it should be also 60 gold. So the lowest base value should be something like that. Is it? I see 31, 34. No, it's even different. Okay, I'm wrong about that, but definitely the highest value is going up to 160. You can see it's no longer changing. Yeah, it's no longer changing. So this one is, I don't know, probably 32 gold, 33. Not really sure the value, but yeah, it should be something like that. So yeah, I guess the bottom limit is moved a little bit. I guess it is possible then to move the upper limit. But yeah, if you're buying resources, hey, you spend like 168 gold to get 100, so you lose. I mean, you lose 68 gold out of the 168. Man, how good is that actually? Let me pull up the calculator. If I lose 68 out of 168, that means I lose 40%. So it's like 60% efficiency. That's pretty good, because caravans can get very good value here. So yeah, definitely caravans, if I don't really remember, but it's definitely worth in co because you get bonuses there. And that's why, hey, if you just focus on the caravans, it's also really good because now you don't have to look for the resource deposits, you don't have to risk losing your villagers, and you just build up this one straight caravan line and just generate enough gold, and then you buy everything. That's why caravan meta is very good, because I mean, like I said, you lose like 40% of this resources to get the 60%. I mean, that's still pretty good. I think the gold income can be like, in some good quests, it can be like 2.5 gold. So if it's 60%, hey, 1.5. If we compare villager, yes. I mean, what do I really get at 1.5? You can see it's very similar to this like gather rates, so that's why it's very good for caravans. Yeah, it depends, like, hey, how many do you have, like, allied you can trade with? Do you have all the tags, gear? It depends. Okay, but yeah, this is how buying selling works. So hopefully you understand it. Hey, comment section below if you want to ask more. But yeah, remember, hey, you have some base price, which is 100. Every time you buy sell, it changes by 2 coins. If you get the coinage or price adjusting, it reduces by 0.5 per tag. And yes, the buy sell penalty reduces the difference between selling, buying, and the base value. Okay, so that's it. And now I should also talk about the abacus, and I'm not gonna do anything about it, but yeah, abacus is very specific tech for the Romans. And you might be like, okay, how good actually is abacus? Now, if I had to show it to you, abacus is changing the buy sell rates by 70%. So from just the one tech, it's very strong already, as you can see, because the first coinage was only 40%. So like suddenly, hey, 75% more stronger. Yes, that's very good. And it's available in Bronze Age, and it costs only 50% more than the coinage. So that's very good for you. Now, obviously, I explained the buy sell penalty, how it works. Now, what about the coins? How the price changes, right? This one is actually different, and instead of reducing by like 0.5 or straight to 1, it just changes by 0.8. So once you get the abacus tech, every time you buy or sell resources, it changes the price by 1.2 gold. Okay, so it's like 20% more gold changed. Hopefully I said it properly. So every time you would buy also resource as Romans with abacus research, the base price would change by 1.2 gold. That's it. That's how good abacus is. Now, what is the advantage or disadvantage in comparison to other sieves which have the coinage and price adjusting? So abacus is available in Bronze Age. That's very good since it's the same as the coinage. It's slightly more expensive, that's kind of disadvantage, but also it is much more stronger. So that's definitely a good advantage, because now you don't really have to reach the Silver Age to get the last tag, which also costs some amount of resources. If I had to put it together, like getting both coinage and price adjusting costs 2 times the amount of abacus. If I'm it's 2 times, because abacus costs the average of that. So getting both of these tags is twice as expensive. You need Silver Age to get the second one, but it is definitely much more effective for you in the late game. Abacus is definitely gonna be better early, as long as you're not reaching like the maximum of those buy sell values. After that, it's just gonna be better for the other sieves. That's how I'll describe it. And I guess that's all I have to say about this. So now we are moving to the final thing about the markets, which is very important for your gold income, where you get the gold to buy and sell resources, or which you can tribute to the other players, or just buy the resources and then tribute them as well. And that's the caravans. And yes, markets are used to produce caravans. So let's talk about the caravans. Now, caravan is this very nice little animal pulling a cart. And what what do you use them for is basically they go to some TC. It can be it can be ally, but yeah, it goes to the TC. It will generate some amount of gold, and then it will go back to the market, drop off the gold, and do it again. It basically just goes back and forth between the TC and the market to generate some amount of gold. Now, for this amount of gold, I need to explain how this is actually calculated. And there is actually one very nice blog about this on the forums, which I suggest to you to read, and I'll put the link in the description so you can check it out. And it's behind the bank Caravans. It is very good reading, but yeah, if you want to read this, Kevsoft definitely put some nice work here, so it's definitely nice reading if you want to understand. What I'm gonna focus on is this nice formula right here and try to explain it as it is. Kevsoft also put some descriptions here, but yeah, this formula. So to get the gold you earn for one trade route, you need to use this formula. Now the formula is distance squared. This is very important. Distance squared times work rate times TC factor times bonus divided by the max map length. So to explain it, okay, so the distance, I mean, you have the description here, but yeah, the distance, imagine the air distance between the market and the TC. It's not the distance traveled by the caravan, it is the distance between the market and the TC. Now, this is very important to notice, because if you have, for example, market right next to the TC, but there's a cliff between them, so the caravan has to go all the way around, this is very bad for you, because the caravan will not generate the gold for the distance traveled, but it will generate the gold for the distance between those two, and this is the air distance. So if you have the TC right next to the market, that will be like a very small amount of gold. That's very important to notice. Definitely remember that. Now also notice that this is squared. This is very important. Why does it matter? Every time you double the distance, that means the income will be actually quadrupled. Obviously, if I take the distance, now I multiply by 2, remember it's squared in total, this square will actually make it 4 times. So suddenly, hey, you're generating 4 times the amount of gold. That's very good. Now you might be thinking this is 4 times the income. No, remember, we've doubled the distance. That means the caravan has to travel double the distance. So it takes twice as long to get that gold and bring it back to the market. So that means if you double the distance, your income is only doubled. Remember, 4 times the gold, but half the income, because hey, double the distance. So it takes twice as long. So that's why it's only twice. So if you double the distance, it's actually doubling the income, not going 4 times or anything else. Now, another thing is this work rate. Now, this is actually the trade value you see in unit stats. If I just may show it to you, you find it right here, the trade. And as you can see, it's showing 0.8. And that's basically the base value for each caravan. Now, every time you apply some effect, for example, you get the market tag that improves the trade rate, that's increasing this number. So from the market tag, you would multiply this by 20%. If you have gear, again, it goes here, multiplying it by 20%, or whatever value you have there. And obviously, advisors included as well. So if you get Xeno, it would be multiplied by 30%. Now, obviously, because all these values here are being multiplied, it doesn't really matter. You can just take the value you're getting and just multiply it with the bonuses. So doesn't really matter, but yeah, this is the value that's being changed here. Now there's also this TC factor, and as you can read it here, carry capacity of the town center currently set to 1.0. Now I don't know what does it mean, carry capacity, but yeah, basically there is some kind of value that could theoretically improve your gold trade by raising this value for the TC. Now this actually does not really work right now. There is no way to affect it currently in the game. I don't really know if there is. Why does it exist here? My theory is that it's something for the Egyptians, for the priestess of Ra. That would be my theory where it would be affecting. Otherwise, I don't know why it would even exist here. But yeah, basically this is always one, so you can totally ignore this right now. And the last one is the bonus. This bonus is always one, except when you're trading with an ally. So basically, if you're trading with your own TC, it's 1. If you're trading with an ally, this is 1.5. The bonus is 50%. So that's basically it. And the maximum map length. Imagine quests like Korean, because that map is actually not a square, it's a rectangle. Because you have like this shorter distance and then longer distance. So it will take the longer distance, and that's where you take the value. Basically, if you know the longer distance of the map, you put it here, and that's it. So to put it simply, the greater the map is, the worse trade you're actually getting. So obviously, if you have a very small map, trading is very good for you. Just small change actually means a lot. So yeah, this is it. Okay, let's get back into quest, and to prove it to you that this formula actually works. Now obviously trade is just some value, so we cannot really do that, but to prove it to you that the distance actually is working properly, I have these 3 markets, and you could see the caravans probably going back and forth. Now I have all these caravans set here, and I forgot to set them at the right one. I should have put them on the control groups. So this first one is actually going the shortest distance from this TC, and this one actually is generating only 30 gold. Yes, it is set at 30 gold. The second one is set at 60 gold, and the third one is set at 90 gold. And you can see already from here that the distance between the first and second market is greater than the distance between the second and third market. You can see this already, right? You can see this first one, hey, 30 gold. This one, although there's a little bit rounding problem, so it's saying 59, almost 60 gold. And the third one, it's 90 gold, as you can see. So I'm not lying to you, okay? This is actually what it means. And if you take a look at the distance from the TC, look at where the TC is. If I go to the first market, that's more than 1 screen away. But if I go from the first market to the second market, it's like half a screen away. Not even that, probably. So look at how the distance is actually affecting it. I just increased it by relatively small distance, and all of a sudden the income is so much higher suddenly. And it's not that huge distance, okay? So just to double this income, I just increased it by a little bit. And oh boy, and because the distance is greater, remember, I also have to travel longer, so you can see that it takes a little bit longer to the caravan to get there and back. So yeah, although I'm getting like double the income, it's only gonna be like square root of 2 higher income because of the distance, and I have to travel it. So that's basically it. You can see the formula is working. The distance is there. And now I'm gonna talk about this one nice little feature, which by default is set to Shift and Z key. So this is actually a very useful tool. So whenever you are like placing the market and you need to like select it, and now you are placing it. So if I click left mouse button, it places it. And when actually you're doing that, you can press the Shift and Z key at the same time. And now notice, although it's very small, but I think it's visible to you, that it suddenly just highlights some or shows some numbers. These numbers are telling you how much gold you should be generating when trading with the specific TC. So for example, you can see that there are 3 values. The left one is the bottom TC right here, so that would be 6 gold. The middle one is 30 gold, so that's the TC I'm currently trading with, and the first one is 66 gold, the right one. And this feature was a little bit annoying when there was like multiple TC in the same direction, but this one has actually been fixed. So you can see that it's 0 and 43 gold right here, and it's very nice. But yeah, you can see I was not lying. This is actually showing 30 gold. If I put it here, it's 60. See, it's telling me 60, but it's 59. So it's not perfect, but yeah, it's close enough. And this one is 90 gold. So this feature is very useful if you don't really know like the market positionings and you're like learning them, where to place them. Very useful for new players. From what I do usually is trying to remember some kind of location or landmark that actually tells me where to place my market. So usually it will be something like this gold mine, or it will be like this stone deposit, or maybe even like this ground texture. So hey, I could place it right here, something like that. That's usually what I do, remember like these landmarks, where to place them. And yeah, I remember it for each quest, and it's not perfect. Like I can be like few units of gold off, so yeah, I break the limit. But this is a very useful feature, and what you should know, this is actually useful for docks as well. You can do the same thing. You can see I have dock here, and dock here, and as you can see, I don't even have the docks built, and it already shows me. So this is very useful as well to notice. So if I had to place the TC, now hey, I have the 4 value here. So this is very useful when you don't even have the TC or dock ready. And yes, I need to mention the merchant transports here are actually working the same as the caravans. The difference is though that, first of all, price for these, they take 2 times as much space, and also carry capacity, and I need to mention that. But yeah, the trade is not really doubled, it's only 1.5, so almost doubled, but yeah, it's close enough. And yes, I need to mention the trading capacity or the carry capacity of these caravans. So basically, when you are placing those markets, you're trying to reach a certain number, and this number is 150 for caravans, 300 for the merchant transports. This is basically the limit how much gold they can generate per trade. Now there is one advisor for the Persians that actually increases this carry capacity, which is the only exception. So yeah, there is no other way for you to do it. Although I feel like that could be a nice, it would be nice if we had like the merchant logs with carry capacity. Why don't we have those yet? Well, whatever. But yeah, this is the limit, so this goes really well together with this nice feature, because then you are trying to find the nice spot where they can generate 150 gold. So it's about here. Yeah, this is actually perfect. Man, this is perfect. I was like talking about this. Yeah. Now you don't really want to reach 150 right away, because remember, there is this one nice saddleback stack which improves caravan trading by 20%. And that literally means what it means. If we take a look at this first one is generating 30 gold. If I get a tech, this would increase by 20%, so it would go to 36. Like I said, from the formula, hey, the work rate, number there, the variable, That's what it does, okay? Improves it by 20%. And so you don't really want to reach this 150 right away, and instead you want to set it to like 125, which, as you can see, is just a little bit shorter distance. But yeah, about here. And now I want to just check if I get the tag. Obviously these caravans will be generating more gold, but I want to see how it works with this nice feature. But yeah, that's... Am I forgetting something about the caravans? I don't think there's anything else like necessary about the caravans. I don't think so. But yeah, this trade factor is very worth mentioning. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, this one, if I do this, yes, it's actually affecting it. You can see it's 36 now, telling me yes. And remember, caravans need to get to the DC, so now it was the last 30 gold. Yes, you can see 72, 108. So if we take a look at you, yes, 36 gold. So that's working just fine as well, as you can see, just like how it works. Okay, and I hope I did not forget anything. Hopefully not. But yeah, that should be how the caravans work. Now I need to talk about one more thing, and that's... Okay, let me delete this. Okay, we here? Good. Okay, I need to explain one more thing, and that's the caravan stats. Because just like I said, there is a limit of how much gold you can generate, which is the 150. And so there are quests where you can reach the limit quite easily, I should say. And then there are quests where it's very hard to reach them. And this is very important because when you are putting gear on your caravans, the main two stats you want to consider when you want maximum efficient trading from the caravans, that's going to be the trade. Sorry, I don't know why. Okay, so that's going to be the trade. It's going to be versus movement speed. And this is going to be very important. Why? Because if I improve the trade, hey, I'm generating more gold. If I improve the movement speed, that means, hey, caravans move faster, they spend less time traveling, and so they are generating more. So both of these stats are very good. And obviously players are like discussing what's better, what's worse, and then I come here and tell them, hey, this is better. But obviously it depends. If you prefer playing co-op, it can be better to go with the movement speed. But if you prefer playing solo, that's where I would say trade can be a better option, because obviously there's the 50% bonus when trading with an ally, so that's very powerful bonus that can suddenly change things. Now I need to explain why trade and movement speed matters, or rather how different it becomes there. So basically, imagine, hey, if I don't have an easy way to get 150 gold, I'm getting like 90 gold from the trade during this quest. That means trade is very good, and it's getting like this 100% effectiveness, right? Because hey, instead of 90, now I improved it by 20%, now I'm getting 108. Okay, and usually movement speed is coming in lower values. You can check it for yourself. Log of the Nile, for example, gives like 18%, very good one. 80% trade, and then like 3.7, 3.8% movement speed. So yeah, the trade value is definitely much greater there. So you might be like, hey, it's already the best item. Now careful with that, because there are obviously quests where you can easily reach the 150 gold trade limit. So you might be asking, how good is the trade there? Because remember, sure, you can reach the 150, but if we add the trade, that means we can actually shorten the distance. And so suddenly the trade is somewhat behaving as a movement speed, but it's not that easy. We need to take a look at the formula again. Now imagine we improve the work rates. Like, okay, I need to step back. Okay, so we were already getting the 150 gold from this formula, okay? We were already getting it. Now we improve the work rate by let's say 20%, for example, some amount. So we are gonna multiply it by 1.2. We're gonna multiply it, okay? Now, obviously, it should, from 150, we should be getting extra 30 gold. However, there is the limit. So we cannot get the extra 30 gold. That means we need to shorten the distance. If we take a look at the formula, how much are we lowering the distance? That's basically the only thing we can change, because the map length, that's pretty much set. Work rate, hey, we got the tags, we always want to get those. We got the gear, that's pretty much decided. So we cannot change that anymore. TC factor, that's constant 1. Bonus, depends if we are trading with an ally or not, but basically that's gonna be constant as well. So the only thing we can change is the distance. Now, how much are we gonna change this? Basically, we are dividing this distance by 1.2. So it's basically, hey, this 1.2 is cancelled by this 1.2. So that's why we are gonna divide it by 1.2. Now, you need to remember, this distance is squared. We are not multiplying by the distance, the length of the line. No, we are multiplying it by the square that it's creating. So instead, we are not actually reducing the distance by 1.2, we are reducing the size of the square by 1.2. So to reduce the distance, we need to actually take square root of this. So that's it. We are reducing the distance by the square root of 1.2. So it's gonna, obviously, so it's gonna be 1 over square root of 1.2, which is equal to square root of 1.2 divided by 1.2. These are the equal ones. And if we put it back into the formula, that means we are, am I saying it right? I am, right? Because then we use the square. This is going to be 1.2 over 1.2 squared. If we multiply it, yes, it's 1. But yeah, this is the value, okay? That's basically how it works. Now, obviously, I don't really have to do this. I'm just gonna stick to the 1.2 square root. That's actually gonna be, screw this. This is actually gonna be very nice, because that means I can say, hey, it's because I'm lowering the size of the distance by square root of the trade, whatever trade. So you can imagine if I was increasing by 30%, it would be 1.3 here. If it was 50%, it would be 1.5, and so on and so on. But yeah, we have the square root of 1.2. Now, when we are reducing the distance, I think it's this is the good time to compare it to movement speed, because what does actual movement speed does? You could say, if I take the distance, some certain distance, now we are traveling it at certain amount of time with certain movement speed. Okay, so now we are shortening the distance. That's very good, but what I want to say, what happens if we double the movement speed? If we double it, then the distance is the same, but the time is cut in half, right? So it takes me half the amount of time to get there. And basically this is the same as if I just cut down the distance by half, because now with the same movement speed, it takes me the same amount or half the amount of time to reach this distance that I want. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a little bit confusing here maybe, but hear me out, okay? So yeah, this is, if I double movement speed, I can reach this distance. If I cut the distance in half, it takes me this, oh, well, okay, original distance. If I double the movement speed, it takes me half the amount of time. So yes, that's the same effect. That's the one effect. Or if I cut the distance in half, keep the movement speed, the time is also cut in half. I just want to change the time. That's how I want to describe it. Here, because I cut the distance, I reduce the amount of time needed to travel. Where's my cursor? There it is. So imagine this, because I am cutting down the distance by the square root of 1.2, I'm dividing it. Now it will take me, yeah, I can say that this is like, if this total was some kind of distance, this is like 1 over square root of 1.2 distance. It takes me some certain amount of time. Okay, it takes me a certain amount of time to reach this. I could say that this, by cutting down the distance, I can actually compare it as if increasing the movement speed, so I reach the same effect as if I am by increasing the movement speed, so I reduce the time by the same amount. That's what I'm trying to say. So basically what I'm trying to compare this to is some movement speed increase, so I actually reach the same goal of reduced time. So I'm trying to find out how much, like the multiplier, so some x, by which I multiply the movement speed, so I can reach the same goal, the same amount of time. Now, as I said before, if I double the movement speed, the time is cut in half. If I cut the distance in half, the time is also cut in half. So that means I just need to take this number and just, yeah, flip the numerator and the denominator. So this x would be equal to the square root of 1.2. Hopefully I made sense. But yeah, basically I would take the fragment here and just to the power of -1. That's what I would do, because we can see it has the same effect. If I cut the distance in half, time is cut in half. It's the same effect as if I increase the movement speed by 2. And so here you can see that if we actually have the maximum limit, then the trade is only effective by its square root. So if I took the 1.2 as an example and took the effect, so it's equal to 1.9544 or 45. Yeah, I'm gonna round it here. So you can see that instead of getting the 20% trade value here, I'm getting only like 9.5% value or effectiveness. So to put it back into the formula, now the trade is effective only by the 9.5%. So yeah, if I cut the distance now, it's the same effect as if I increase the movement speed by 9.5%. Basically works the same. Now back to the movement speed. How does the movement speed work? Like I said, if I travel a certain distance, hey, and I suddenly double the movement speed, it takes me half the amount of time. This is very important when trading, because when we have the distance, we go there and we go back. Okay, now this is actually back and forth is actually the trade distance. I'm gonna call it the trade distance, which is equal double the distance, because we need to go there and back. But yeah, that's basically it. Now you could say that every trade is like, it takes a certain amount of time. So you could say one trade is equal certain amount of time. And so if we increase the speed, it cuts the trade or the time to travel it by half. And so the trade time is also cut in half. So if we increase the movement speed and double it, that means we do double the amount of trades. So we could say, hey, we doubled, so double movement speed means we traveled double the trade distance. Hopefully I'm showing this. Yes, yeah, need to be sure, because I don't want to repeat this. But yeah, basically if I double the movement speed, I travel in the same amount of time, the same trade distance twice. And so that means, hey, if I traveled the double the trade distance, that means I've made 2 times more the trades, right? Instead of 1 trade, I did 2 trades. And because I did 2 trades, I actually doubled my income. By the same amount of time, I doubled my income. So that's how the movement speed is. Basically, as long as you don't have the maximum capacity from the trade, then trade and movement speed are equal. So you can say, hey, less than 150 trade equals movement speed. They are equal in that scenario. But once you get to the capacity greater or equal 150, that means that movement speed is actually more than trade, because it's better. But because usually you get more trade from the gear, you just need to take the square root of the trade. Obviously we need to go, so the trade percentage plus 1, take the square root of that, minus 1, and you get the percentage 4 that is equal to the movement speed at that point. So yeah, if you want to really compare the items effectiveness, and I can go with this. So for example, if I had to say extremely tasty carrot here versus the merchant lock of the Nile, and you take like a really good one, for example 18% and like 3.8% movement speed here, so it's a very good comparison to that. And then you go versus extremely tasty carrot. If you just multiply the trade and movement speed as it's equal, that works only until you reach the maximum capacity. Once you reach the maximum capacity, hey, you need to compare the square roots. Okay, I'm not really gonna do it right here, but yeah, hopefully I did explain it, how it works here. Good. Hopefully I did explain it. So basically, trade versus movement speed. Trade and movement speed are equal when the gold generated is less than 150. Once you reach the limit, movement speed is greater, because when you want to put the trade stat on your caravans, you cannot really utilize it when you're reaching the maximum capacity. So you need to lower the distance, and the distance lowered makes it so you need to take the square root of the trade and by taking that square root, you actually get the real effectiveness of the trade. As you could see, with 20%, it would be like 9.5%. So that's how it works. Now, obviously, you could be like, hey, what if I just get the stat, the trade, like I'm 140, I get 20%. Now I'm reaching 150 with it, but also you're a little bit over the limit. So how effective is it that? The effectiveness would be somewhere in between. I'm not really gonna tell exactly the values because I would have to like analyze the distances and really know all the values. So I'm not really gonna say the exact value. All you need to know is somewhere between the trade and the square root of the trade. That's all you need to know. And hopefully that should be all from the markets. Anything else I should mention? Yeah, I hope I explained it, but yeah, definitely comment section is there. If you want to ask, like, hey, I need to explain something again. Hope I'm not best explainer, I know that, but hopefully I did explain it so you understand it. But yeah, if I did not do a good job, definitely call me out in the comment section. I'll try to explain it a little bit better. But yeah, again, basically you travel distance, if you reach the limit, blah 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 blah, and so on. And it works all the same for the merchant transports. Now I should include a few nice things as a bonus, and that's gonna be a few interesting facts. Okay, let me produce this caravan from the central market. When you have multiple markets, and take this as a bonus information, when you have multiple markets and you produce caravans from multiple of these, the caravans will always try to travel, or not try, but will always travel to the furthest market. So this caravan, as you can see, we've produced it from the center one. Once it reaches the TC, it will deliver the gold to the most distant one, the one at the 90 distance. And another thing I need to mention, and you can see right here, the first trade actually can generate you few extra gold. Instead of getting the 72, this one is 108. Instead of getting the 72 as I was supposed to, I'm getting like 3 extra gold. This is always true for the first trade. I don't know exactly how it works. I guess it's taking a little bit slightly different distance. I don't know where exactly, but yeah, you can see it went right for the third market. So yeah, the first gold trade is like the best trade because you're getting slightly more, but then it stabilizes and it's gonna be the same. So now it should be just 108 because we're traveling from the third market. So yeah, that's first thing. When you produce caravans from multiple markets, the caravans will always go for the furthest market. I don't know if there is like some specification. It always was the furthest one. You can see now it's 108. Yeah, it's going for the furthest one. Second thing, when you first produce the caravan, it will generate few extra gold pieces for you. So hey, slightly higher income for the first one, but yeah, after that it stabilizes, it's the same. Now another thing I should mention, when you actually, and we're gonna take the caravan a little bit further here. When you, for example, build a new market, this can actually happen. When you build a new market and now you want the caravans to start trading, so they go for the further market, the newly built. Hey, you build you had like market over here, it was generating only 30. Now you have space and you can get the market for 120, for example. So you like select all the caravans and start the trade anew, and you can see that you can right click on the TC and it will start trading there. So that is a good way. Like I said, when you produce the new caravan, it will go for the furthest. That's basically again how it works. When you just select the caravan and order it to start a trade again, it will do the same thing as if it was created. Now another thing I need to mention, and this is very important, because if you had like the shorter distance and now you had like this line of caravans and you order them to go, to trade here, they will actually generate some gold based on the distance they traveled, but that's working the same. But it's not based on where the market is, but where they started. And you can see it right here. I am carrying 150 gold on this caravan because we've started it over here a little bit further, but it will still go for the furthest one. And then it should stabilize. I am not really sure how exactly it works, because I swear it's like the first trade it will take the distance where it started, then it's like second one which behaves a little bit weird, because I swear I saw caravans like generating nothing for the second one, and then the third one is working as it should. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I feel like whenever I go for this, it's like the two trades are a little bit weird and then it just stabilizes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's something with multiple markets. What do I know? Or not markets, caravans. What do I know? But yeah, I think that's the last thing. But yeah, remember, if it works with caravans, most likely it's gonna work with merchant transport as well, because that pretty much behaves the same. So yeah, I think that's everything I can think of. Hopefully I did not forget, but yeah. So this was all. I definitely explained the tribute, buying, selling, caravans, their stats, some extra information about some nice tricks. So I guess that's all. So yeah, tell me how useful you find this video, because oh boy, talking for this long. Yeah, it's quite a lengthy video, it's a lot of talking, but yeah, definitely I think you found a lot of useful information here, hopefully. So yeah, tell me, definitely like this if you enjoy this, definitely like this if you've learned something. If you feel like I explained something poorly or needs some further explanation, definitely put the comment in the section. And definitely, if you want to see more, press that subscribe button. Come on, subscribe to the channel. Definitely would be nice. Come on, it's just a click of one button. I was talking here for like an hour or even longer. How much? Oof. Yeah, too long. So yeah, like this, share this. Definitely share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. This was Psychosaurus. I'll see you next time. Bye.